Hey everybody, I'm Bradley Hasemeyer. I'm 6'1" and 175 pounds. This right here is the 2022 Porsche 911 Carrera GTS. It has 473 horsepower, 420 pound-feet of torque from a 3.0 liter twin turbo flat six. Okay, sure, these are the specs. I'm not that impressive on paper, and you would probably say, well, there's cars with more horsepower out there, with bigger engines. And to both me and the car, I would say, yes, you are correct. But just get to know me, and get to, more importantly, know this car, and you will see nearly 60 years of history has refined what might be my favorite car ever. Let's check it out. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the sound. Oh, this car absolutely puts a smile on my face every single time. Now let me just call out some of the awesome stuff on the inside. The first thing us enthusiasts notice when we're looking at a car is this right here, the manual, 7-speed manual gearbox. This is a no-cost option for the GTS. Porsche said, "We know that this is what the drivers want. We want to offer it to them for no monies." I think that's how the conversation in marketing went. So I love that. You can of course have the PDK as well, but come on, man, this is OG. Keeping it real, throwing it back. I love that. Love a manual. My first 3 cars were manuals, and I absolutely loved them dearly. So you've got the manual. Of course, you're going to notice the Sport Tex, which is essentially like Alcantara, but it's what Porsche calls the kind of like suede here. It's on the steering wheel. It's on the base of the shifter. And it's on some of the other nice touch spots on the door handles. Oh my gosh, I mean, I'm sorry, this review will be interrupted by momentary giggles of joy and giantly wide smiles. Thank you so much. So you've got this great soft touch everywhere. I love the way the steering wheel is laid out. You've got drive modes that you can select right here: normal, sport, sport plus, wet, that type of thing. That, of course, as you know, in most cars, adjusts varying degrees of how much the traction control will let you slip. All the different suspension pieces as well. So that's something that I love. The way the dash is laid out is so beautiful. There is the analog tack right in the middle. I've got my RPM staring right at me, and then little bits of digital information to either side. That is customizable. You can kind of adjust the way it looks, but why? It's beautiful. I love the way it looks. The screen here in the middle is very quick, very sensitive in a good way, very clear, very crisp, easy to navigate. Wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all that, right, as you would expect. There is no wireless charging though, so you do need some USB cables to charge up, which happens right here in the center console. Not tons of storage as you would assume, but I have found some really useful places in the door. There's a cup holder here in the middle, and then near the passenger, kind of behind the camera, there's another cup holder there, which is nice. And what did I say? This has the Sport Chrono package, so you'll notice a beautiful clock on the very top of the dash. And even if I never test it, even if I never race with it, I love that clock being there. There's something about that. I love having a watch. I wear a watch regularly, and I love having that piece of, I don't know, kind of the element to the car, the track heritage to the car. Some of the other things to point out on the interior, I love how clean this is. You remember the Porsches of the past, you know, had like as many buttons as an airplane here in the middle, center console, especially like on the Panamera. Those buttons just, I think they went all the way back, 200 or 300 of them. Very simplified, very easy to use. The climate control system here, you've got the hard buttons, which is great. I've got my ventilated seats and my heated seats, that control here. It's just so clean. I love that. You know, when it comes to actual drivability, we'll get to that in a second, but in terms of the controls, you don't have adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, blind spot monitor, none of that, because you should be paying attention, is what they're telling you. At least I wasn't able to use that. You do have cruise control, just not adaptive. It's not going to adapt for you, which is fine by me. The actual user interface of the Porsche's, what we call this, the infotainment system, is actually really smart and well laid out. No flashy, splashy graphics. It's essentially grayscale, black and white, and that's fine when you get in and connect your Apple CarPlay and you're jamming out to your 2000s hip hop. There's a lot of good choices on there, by the way. You're going to see that it's a beautiful screen, and it doesn't really matter if the normal icons are black and white or gray or whatever. The touch buttons below the screen, I've got a nose lifter. This is an option. Essentially, it lifts the suspension, lifts the nose, so when I'm going over bumps, speed bumps, or maybe a driveway that kind of bumps down or something like that, it'll lift the nose for you so you're not scraping up the front of your car. And this is pretty cool. It'll also ask you, do you want me to remember that geotagged location for the next time? So let's say your castle that you live in, every time you pull up to the castle, it'll know, boop, you're there, hang on, raise the nose, and you can keep driving. You don't even have to push the button. I was like, wow, that's pretty rad. There's also sport exhaust, which in normal mode is not always on, but you could put it in individual mode or sport, or you can just hit the button. Just makes it nice and louder. That's what I like, louder. And then traction control off, and then I can adjust the dampers here as well. So, it's got everything that you want. There's rear seats. I drove my kids to school. How about that? You can't do that in like an Audi R8, for instance. I had a conversation with a guy one time who had way too much money, and he was saying he was deciding between a 911 and an R8, and he said, I got to go with the 911 because I can put my kids in a car seat back there. I tried to use one of our car seats, didn't work, but Porsche has their own, so if you're a parent, that's a thing. But even if you're not, what goes back there? Duffel bags, beautiful people, bags of groceries, I don't know, whatever. At least there's space. Look at this, there's actual room back there to be able to do something with. All right, so that's all the talking about the interior. It's fantastic. There's plenty of space and room and all this. It's very comfortable. Let's talk about drivability. Oh my gosh. One of the things that's so beautiful about this vehicle is it falls right between the, hey everyone, look at my car, I have a huge wing on the back of it and I drive super fast GT3, and a little more tame turbo. Who cares? It sounds amazing. Just stop talking, Bradley. Oh man. Yes. So it has rear helper springs that you get from a turbo. That essentially means that it helps the suspension not get too high or too low when it's going over a bump, and the wheel wants to, the suspension wants to expand. It keeps it down a little, and when it pops up, it doesn't go too deep. It keeps it kind of connected. I don't know if I explained that very well, but it's a helper spring. Obviously, the center locking wheels that you get on a GT3, I love that feature on the outside. There's a lot of darkened black accents on the outside as well. The headlights, the script in the back, all of these kind of exterior sport features come standard on the GTS. And so, what you're getting in this spec, especially this one, a lot of times when we get cars to review, they're totally loaded, fully tricked out with every option box checked. And that's not that realistic for a lot of people who are going to be driving vehicles. But what you do get here with essentially just a few upgrades, this thing starts at 136, this one here is like a 140 or so, something like that, is a whole lot of value. Now, I don't think people really talk about a Porsche 911 as a value vehicle, but I'm going to put it in the same league as something like a Honda Civic, from the standpoint of bang for buck, from a standpoint of what you're getting, the pedigree. I mean, think about this. Porsche has been working on the 911 for 60 years. If I did anything for 60 years, I would be an expert at it. If I was a seamstress for 60 years, you better believe at this point in my life, I would be making dresses for everyone at the Met Gala. 60 years, you can become a pro at anything. They've taken the 911 and it hasn't changed all that much, And that's a good thing. You know, some people will say, like, we want innovation, we want change, we want things to be different. No, you don't. You want somebody who does the same thing over and over for 60 years and makes it one badass car. And this might be the best Porsche ever. Ever. I'm sure there will be people out there that disagree with me, and that's fine. But you're wrong. I took this on a road trip. Drove for 2 hours, averaged 32 miles per gallon. What? 32 miles per gallon. Unbelievable. And the tank, because it's a large tank, still had like 400 miles worth after all that driving. And yes, these seats don't have like all the lumbar and all that type of stuff, but these are extremely comfortable. You can upgrade and, you know, go for a lighter package overall and get carbon fiber seats and, you know, pay for them to strip out some of the noise reducing elements in the car and save, you know, I don't know, 30, 40 pounds, something like that. But as is, again, this is just like, almost like buying the suit off the rack and it fits with just some minor tailoring. This is a absolute daily driver rocket ship. I've been in Lamborghinis, Aston Martins, all types of different vehicles like that, and they're great, except you're always a little worried about them. You want to park it a little closer to the house. You want to park way away in the parking lot. You don't want someone to touch you. You're afraid that I can't take this through a car wash. I can't do these. You're worried about the vehicle the whole time. This could easily be a daily driver. My wife, and this is a great testament here, who gets car sick almost every time I drive, and that's probably more me than it is her, but nonetheless, we took this on a road trip, little getaway for the weekend, and she fell asleep in the car. She said, this is a very comfortable car. I was very surprised, and that made me super surprised. And I'm excited to tell you that element to this vehicle, because a lot of times you get your 911s, especially if you go up more toward a track package with GT3 RS, those types of things, you're going higher and higher and higher, you start to lose some of that usability. But not with this car. I'm telling you guys, this might be the best Porsche has ever made. The drive is absolutely a blast. You can dial it in exactly as you want it. The no-cost option manual, as well as the fact that you can disable the technological blip shift that happens as it automatically blips the throttle for you in any of the mode, even Sport Plus, whatever. You can do that because you want to get as OG as possible when it comes to this vehicle. It doesn't scream at you. There's not a lot of people being like, oh my gosh, can I see that car? What is that car? Oh my gosh, that's a car. If you want that, you can go out and find that. I'm more of a sleeper guy. I want something that sounds great, that delivers a lot of power, that's an absolute blast to drive, that could get you into a little trouble. This thing has made me laugh a lot. A giant smile on my face every time I get in this car. The sound, the feel. It's not about stats, guys. It's not about a spec sheet. There are cars with more horsepower, there are cars with bigger engines, but no car is a Porsche 911. And the 911 Carrera GTS might just be the best one ever. Thanks for watching. I gotta get home. Oh boy. Yes, yes, yes.